Hey, it's Meggie K, and I am officially finished my working holiday in New Zealand. I did it. I was there for a year, and I figured that, you know, with this hindsight and this experience behind me, it would be good to make a video of just some tips, some advice. If you're looking at doing a working holiday in New Zealand, maybe keep some of this stuff in mind. So the actual visa was super easy to get. It's 100% online. It's pretty cheap. I feel like it was like maybe $100. I forget. I don't actually remember what I paid. It was a long time ago. But it wasn't very expensive. You fill it out online. It takes maybe like max 10 minutes to go through the entire thing. And most people I talk to and like other Canadians, they get approved really quick, like a couple of days. I had to get a chest x-ray done because of other countries I lived in beforehand, and I had that mess, but typically you wouldn't have to do it. I was just a unique case. So the easy process continues when you get to New Zealand. Setting up a bank account is super straightforward. You just need a proof of like where you live, and a hostel will give that to you. Easy, just ask them. And enough people come to New Zealand to do working holidays that hostels know this, and if you're unsure, they will tell you everything. That's how I found out. I had no idea how to do this when I got there, and the people that worked at the hostel were on working holidays, and they gave me all the information I needed to know to kind of set things up. But for bank accounts, you need that proof of residency, which is just a letter from your hostel, and like I needed $500 to put into my bank account. So yay, super easy to open a bank account. And the same thing goes with the IRD, getting your IRD number so you can work. It's a form that you just fill out and give to the post office. You need a copy of your passport, and apparently like that's where the hostel gave me the little proof of address, but they didn't need it, or like the people I talked to at the post office, they didn't really do anything with it. So the other thing to remember with the IRD, and if you're from North America, we use letter size paper, and New Zealand would typically use an A4 size. And when I printed off the form online, because you can do that, it like cut off one of the questions, and I totally didn't realize it. So you can print it off, but if you do print it off and you're from like North America using letter size paper, don't get it printed on like A4, which is what they use. Or when you get to New Zealand, they have all the forms in the post office, so you can just fill it out when you get there. So as you can see, getting there, getting the visa, getting set up, getting all of your things together is very easy, very straightforward in New Zealand. And there's programs that will like help you, and you can buy like startup packages. But as a friend told me when I was getting ready to go, it's so easy. Those are a complete ripoff. Just do it yourself. It's not very difficult. So yay, getting there, no problem. So now that you're there, you got your visa and everything set up, you need to travel. You need to get out. You need to see the country. And the best way to see New Zealand is definitely by car. It is a road trip kind of country. So if you're with a friend, definitely look into maybe buying a car or renting a car. I didn't do that, so I can't give any details on how to go about doing it. But it seemed pretty easy. I know lots of people there who did that, and it would be a great way to see the country. But traveling by myself, I didn't want to drive all the time. I also don't like driving, and I know nothing about cars, so if it broke down and I don't have a signal on my phone, which can happen, especially in the South Island, you don't always have signal. It was not something I was looking forward to do. What I did do was taking the public bus from city to city to city. Now there's basically 3 major bus companies you can take. I was taking Intercity. I bought a Intercity bus pass. So basically all I did was buy hours. This pass was good for a year, and I bought hours, and every time I booked a bus online, it would just deduct the hours from my pass. And it was really effective and affordable, and it even included the Inter-Islander ferry to get between, which came in handy because I did little back and forth trips a lot between Wellington when I was staying there for a few months and the top part of the South Island. So it really saved me a lot of money because like the Inter-Islander ferry and the, what is it, Blue Bridge, that's the other ferry to get between the islands, can be fairly expensive, like 50 bucks or something. So definitely saved me a lot of money there. There's also Naked Bus, which I took once, and Mana Bus, which I took once. So you have options for just like public regular buses to take you from city to city. So the third way to get around is like a backpacker bus. So there's the Stray Bus and the Kiwi Experience, and they're kind of like toury kind of buses. They're hop on, hop off, but it's like you buy a set route and they'll stop and you can see different things and different activities as you travel through the country. If you're wondering, when I did the Deep South tour thing, that was technically, I didn't buy it through Kiwi Experience, but if you buy the Deep South part of the route in New Zealand, whatever you want to call it, that's what you'd be doing, is what I made the video about. It's the same thing. Everyone else on the trip was on Kiwi Experience. So if you're wondering what like I mean by the little stop-offs and they'll show you things and you'll do different activities, it is like you'll get a feel for it in that video. The reason why I decided not to do a Stray Bus or a Kiwi Experience is that it seemed a little too planned out and a little too structured for me. If I, there's these set routes, and if I didn't want to go somewhere, if I didn't want to do that activity, I would have to like pass through and kind of follow this route anyways, which wasn't for me. But I mean, if you know what you want to do in New Zealand and these buses fit what you want to do, it's be great. And you also, it's a really good way to meet people. I walked into hostels by myself and everyone already knew each other because they were all on the Stray Bus or all on Kiwi Experience. So it's definitely an option if that's what you're into. So yeah. So you're on a working holiday, so it's time to work. There are the typical backpacker kind of jobs like fruit picking and au pair. I never considered fruit picking because I feel like that's a super ripoff. I did consider being an au pair nanny kind of thing for a bit. Never worked out. Oh, and there's also the working for accommodation. If you're not looking to make money, but just want to cut a lot of costs out, because hostels usually run between $25 and $35. If you want to cut out some costs, if you know you're going to be somewhere for a month, look at some working for accommodations. I did that in Franz Josef for a month. I worked at a hostel, and it was actually really cool. It was pretty chill because I was on the off season. And it definitely cut a lot of the costs that I would have for the last month I had in New Zealand. And the other like really popular thing to do is like waitressing and bartending and hospitality, that kind of work. And I wanted to do that. I was pretty open to any kind of job. I wanted to work in Wellington, and I couldn't do that kind of job in Wellington because it's a city and there's lots of travelers coming through wanting to do it. They have the university and students, and there's plenty of people to choose from. I was talking to a few like restaurants, and they would get like 10 to 20 resumes per day of people wanting to go there. This was the beginning of summer. I was trying to find a job, and not having any experience at all, I was definitely not getting picked. I was not getting a job there. Now, if I had not stayed in Wellington and looked for that kind of job in a place like Franz Josef, right, as summer was starting, I probably could have gotten a job there, because pretty much everyone during the summer in Franz Josef is a tourist. It like doubles in size, and they definitely need more people to work those kinds of jobs. Backpackers definitely would get a job like that. Whether you have experience or not, I feel like I could have done it there. But because I was in a city, they had a selection of people and they weren't going to give it to me. And I ended up actually working in Auckland, and that was the only place in New Zealand I could get a job, because based on my experience, it's all been some sort of digital media production, something or other kind of job for like the last 5 years. That's all I've been doing. So in New Zealand, the industry is basically all in Auckland. There would be like a few odd design and media kind of jobs pop up in Wellington, but they're really not a lot, and the majority of work was in Auckland. I had to I was cutting off Auckland. I wasn't really searching there. I didn't really want to live in Auckland, but at the end of the day, that's the only place I could find a job doing that kind of stuff. And I needed a job, I needed money. I had like $200 by the time I moved up to Auckland. So yeah, that's how it worked out for me. So that's kind of like my suggestion. Like, if you're into like whatever kind of like bartending jobs and you don't have experience, probably look outside of major cities because they would be a bit more open to someone who doesn't have a lot of experience, unlike in the cities like Wellington where they have lots of people to choose from. They have so many, like they have stacks of resumes. You might not get the job there. You can always try, but it's probably not likely. That was what I found. And yeah, also if you're looking for a job that's very specific to an industry, New Zealand's a very small country, so you might need to look where that industry would be located because, like I said, I really couldn't find many jobs outside of Auckland for digital media kind of work. So I had to move up to Auckland. Even though I didn't want to, it was like I had to. That's something to consider when looking for jobs in New Zealand. So I feel like I kind of covered the basics, the getting there, the traveling, and the working. And yeah, that's kind of what I noticed and my experiences and kind of my hindsight now that I've finished my working holiday. You know, things didn't work out as I had hoped and as I had planned, but you know, it all worked out eventually. Things happened. I had a good time. I worked a little bit. I didn't work as much as I wanted to. I only worked 3 months. But I had fun and I saw the country and I met great people, and in the end it all works out. So if you're going to New Zealand, hopefully this video gave you a bit more of a better idea of what to expect, because honestly I showed up in New Zealand not knowing a thing. I didn't even know how to leave Auckland, like what the options were, like buses and shit. So you are officially more informed than I was, and yay! Okay, so that's it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe for more travel adventures. Bye! Hey, it's Meggie K, and over the last year that I have been living in New Zealand, I have grown accustomed to the Kiwi food, and some I really liked and some was kind of disgusting, so I thought I would make a video and share with you the food that I have been eating over the last year.